So unless you've been living under a rock this past week and a half, you are aware that Jagex has released their roadmap during the Winter Summit last week for the reveal for the first half of Old School RuneScape, the plans they have, and some of the major content that they plan to release in the upcoming months. Now, one of the big things that they talked about, one of the huge bombshells that they dropped, was a lot of brand new information on sailing. And if you're familiar with me in my past videos, you know that I wasn't quite the most keen on sailing. But with the new information that Jagex has released, some of the new bits of content, and the further look into what exactly they've been working on and how far they've already come, I'll be the first to admit I might have been wrong. Anchors are away on the development of sailing, Old School RuneScape's first new skill, an open world utility skill that introduces a whole new area to Old School RuneScape. This is not just about rowing your boat gently down the stream. This is much bigger than that. So you're going to be able to profit, you're going to be able to benefit around the world, you're going to be able to do multiple important things. As you progress, you'll become captain of your very own ship, explore new islands filled with exciting activities, and command a crew of loyal NPCs. In our results summary blog, we made a commitment to collaborate with everyone, including those who voted against the skill. We're looking at you, BaldMob. I did not vote for sailing. I did not. I voted for shamanism like a dumb idiot. Okay, but I put my vote out there at least. And I can admit when I was wrong, okay? Sailing, I was not for it at the beginning. It looks to be like they're trying their best here. Maybe you could say that they rigged it. Maybe you could say sailing was going to win from the beginning. We don't know that. But what we do know is that it looks promising, and Jagex is trying their absolute damnedest here to make it work. Although we plan to keep the community involved at every stage, we're also trying to figure out which parts of the skill, if any, should remain shrouded in mystery until launch day. Now that is interesting right there. That right there is getting my gander all up, you could say. What do they plan on not telling us? Obviously, this is a very community-driven project. We've been pretty much knowing everything that they've been working on as they're working on it. But what exactly do those little conniving misfits, what are they getting up to over there at Jagex headquarters? What do they think they've got hidden? Our development roadmap. On the below diagram, we've included several milestones so you can see what we'll be working on. Of course, they say, please note that the dates have not been provided, as they are obviously open to change. If you're a RuneScape 3 player, you are furious because you get no sort of roadmap for anything, and I feel you. If we start at the very top, we kind of see what their milestone plan is. They have, first of all, the navigation alpha, and they say this multiple times throughout their blog post that this is what's going to take not only the longest amount of time, but they want to put forth the most effort and time into. The whole navigation system is kind of what the whole thing is based upon. If you can't steer the ship in a more comfortable manner, if you aren't familiar with how to make the ship move freely and flow precisely, you're not going to enjoy the skill whatsoever. But the customization and crew is their third step, and that's what really excites me. I really like the idea of being able to have like a socialization aspect in this update or in this skill as well. Obviously, Old School RuneScape is an MMO, right? And it's all about talking and having interactions with other players. And that's kind of been lost on the game, you know, as of late. It's turned into what some players call efficient scape. And a lot of players don't really talk to other people at all. And I'm right there in that category. I'm excited to see where they take the ship combat. I'm excited to see how far they take it, especially if you can go into, like they mentioned, the wilderness. They mentioned having like a PvP area. You can supposedly interact with other players and their ships, and your ability to perhaps sink them and then loot them. It'd be sick, dude. This will probably be the first chance that we get to really get our hands on things and to really kind of put forth our voices and get our grubby little paws on the sailing and see how everything navigates, see how everything feels, see if it flows, and just overall see if it seems like what we wanted as a player. We can't get compliant here and let Jagex just think that we love what they hand out to us. We probably will, and that's great, but we just have to make sure that we will be vocal. I think one of Jagex's main pulls here is to make this a new breath into the socialization aspect of RuneScape, of Old School RuneScape. Being able to hang out with your friends on your very own island. So once they've broken it up into these 4 different phases, you can see a little bit more about what their plan is, their development structure. In Phase 2, if you notice, they say port makeover and island content. This is also a very big deal because as of right now, you might be thinking the same thing that I initially was, where what exactly is going to happen to all of the ports and all of the different docks and all of the areas that we already have in old school RuneScape with like Port Sarim or Port Khazard. All these areas are already involving different types of docks, different types of boats. We're thrilled to reveal that you'll have multiple opportunities to play test sailing in 2024. So again, it more than likely 95% chance of it not releasing 2024, and that's to be expected, but you are going to get your hands on it. You're going to get your paws dirty. You're going to get your claws inside of sailing. Our first open beta will take place a little further along in development. This beta will address ship customization, crew management, capsizing, and ship combat, offering a comprehensive preview of all 4 features. Now, by capsizing, I'm imagining they mean what happens when you die. What happens when you're out in the middle of sailing down the 7 seas and you get freaking owned by Ship Slayer 777? What happens when you get a face tank by a cannonball? What happens to you? What happens to the player? What happens to all your gear? A second open beta is currently planned as a sailing demo, offering all the above as well as new gameplay mechanics, secondary gameplay, and some islands and points of interest to explore. This beta will take place very close to launch and will heavily influence our launch date expectations. Now that sentence there gives me hope. That sentence shows me that maybe they do have a plan for when they potentially see this becoming a reality. When exactly do they think that this might be released? I think Jagex knows. I think they might have an inkling of an idea. Now, obviously, they're not going to tell us yet because they don't want us to get our hopes up. But maybe it's closer than we think. Sailing has been split into 9 core milestones, with the exception of islands and points of interest. Each milestone will be worked on in chronological order, and at this moment, we're not certain how long each milestone will take. Optimistically, we're aiming for 1 to 2 months work on each. Okay, I take back what I said earlier. I don't think this is coming out this year. We already knew that though. And I want Jagex to take their time, okay? I'm not mad at them for saying this. I understand they're being real with us. Obviously, this is going to take a lot of development time. So they're working on core gameplay, like we mentioned earlier. Navigation, like we mentioned earlier. Designing the sea layout. Now, this is big as well because if you think of old school RuneScape, if you think of the world map, you know that it's really interesting how they're going to have to expand the ocean, the sea. When you think of old school RuneScape, you think of mainly land. Where is all this ocean at? Where is all this area we're going to be exploring? And how exactly? Sailing, getting through it is just half of it. What's out there? What's out there for the player to explore? What is there for us to see? That's what I'm most excited about. Yes, I'm excited about being able to hang out with the homies. I'm excited to be chilling with the boys, killing monsters out on the ocean. But why? What are we going to get? Are we going to be able to dive down into the sea? Are we going to be able to find buried treasure? Are we going to be able to hook up with some sea shanties, if you know what I'm saying? What's going to be the allure? I know that I was naive in the beginning. I'm still a little skeptical about sailing. But I think it's got a lot of high hopes, especially with our new plans that Jagex has laid out in front of us. We still have a ways to go. We still have a lot to look forward to, but we're going to get to try it out soon. We're going to get our hands on it, and we're going to get to really see exactly what Jagex has in store for us. This is the work that they've completed so far. The ship infrastructure. This is huge already. Players can generate ships and their own ships from a collection of presets. So does that mean you're going to be able to have more than one? Are you going to be able to have like rare or limited edition ships perhaps? Players can board other players' ships. You are now considered the captain and have navigation permissions, and you can have other players to be a navigator. So here's where that socialization aspect comes into play once again. Players can trim the sails, experience different ship speeds based on the various conditions, like weather conditions. Maybe if the Kraken comes out of the ocean and he's whipping up a little torrent for you. The in-depth design for primary gameplay, a functional starting sea map, structure to allow content to be designed, design the player journey from level 1 to 99. And then you can see him. It's a little janky right now, but it's obviously, like they say, not final work. And then you can see the ship kind of sailing through. And that looks like the world that's already there. This is not brand new ocean. This is like right by Catherby. Here's one main concern I have. How is it not going to be crowded? It's got to be an instance area, right? Otherwise, you're going to be just crashing into everyone else. So it's got to have some sort of instance. It's got to have some sort of ability, or maybe you just sail right through each other like you walk through other players on the mainland. I don't know. Obviously, they still have a ton to work out. My mind kind of boggles at the ability that Jagex has to theory craft all of this. I don't know how they're going to do it. I hope that this is maybe giving you some insight as to what Jagex has planned, and maybe it'll help get you more hopeful for sailing if you're not already there, like I once was. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I didn't even vote for sailing. I voted for shamanism, okay? So you can yell at me if you want, but I'm just trying to be a glass half full kind of guy. Otherwise, Mod Ash might come around and give me an ass half full, if you know what I mean. Because it's coming to the game whether we like it or not. Jagex isn't going to scrap this. So, what do you think? What are your thoughts on sailing? I want to know. I have been a reformed sailor. I am now excited. I'm not 100% on board, sailing pun intended, but I am looking forward to it. I am excited to try it, and I hope you are too. What do you think? Are you excited for this? Do you think this looks garbage? Were you like me? Did you vote for shamanism? Did you vote for the summoning skill or the pet skill, whatever it was? Or like a freak show? I'm just kidding, by the way. What do you think? Let me know. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Sorry for rambling, but I just wanted to talk about this because it's obviously important. It's old school RuneScape's first brand new skill. Mod Ash, if you're watching this, buddy, I love you. Don't give me an ass half full of